Welcome to another episode of Mommy Mondays with Jenn Pinto and Danesha Vargas, where we give you the raw and uncut truth about everything motherhood and parenting. I'm really excited about today's episode because it's a topic that I feel a lot of parents avoid. But it's a very important topic because it has to deal with our health too, and our children's health, which is obviously the most important thing here, right? I mean, yeah, ours too, obviously, because we need to be alive for these kids, but you get what I mean. This topic today that we're going to talk about is about the harmful chemicals that are in these foods, especially these foods that are targeted to children. This is something that I feel that we have ignored for a long time, and now we're in a place where America has the highest rate of obesity in children, has the highest rate of ADHD, autism in children. And what most people don't know is that majority of the foods that are here in the US are banned in other countries because they have done their research and they have come to the conclusion that these chemicals in these foods are very harmful to the neurological process. So we're going to get into it today. We're going to tell you about these chemicals, and then we're going to also just share with you different alternatives and different things to look for when you're going food shopping and all these things. And you might be surprised today that after you hear this, you hear this episode, you're going to go into your food cabinet, and I promise you that your mouth is going to drop because you're going to be like, holy shit, all these shits are in the foods that I have here that I've been giving my children, I've been eating myself.
Yes, that's how it was for everybody that has already awakened from that.
Oh yeah, you you be ready to throw the whole damn fucking kitchen out. Like,
Yes. And food shopping is so much harder, but once you can gain these tools and this knowledge, it'll be a little easier to navigate the supermarkets and the stores and stuff like that.
absolutely. So what should we get started with? Because I know there's a lot. You know what? Let's start with the Skittles. I mean, everybody knows about Skittles, man. We grew up on Skittles.
Yes, it's so crazy to see that finally
Yep.
the system is kind of we're gaining up to its motives. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
we're seeing the proof in the sauce. Like we have to compare the way that children were back in the days to how they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And Skittles is the perfect example because yeah, we all grew up eating Skittles, all of us, and we give them to our children all the time. And now it's not even fit for human consumption. Like that's the conclusion that they've gotten to now recently. So I think it is a really good place to start and kind of work our way back because candy is the number one thing, especially for children. It's super targeted for children. And it's also like a pleasure food. It's like, okay, party. So we're celebrating something, candy.
Yep.
And it's like, damn, maybe we're doing things the wrong way.
Absolutely. So Skittles has a lot of food colorings. Now, I'm going to name just a few that, again, take a pen and a paper right now and write these things down because I'm telling you, you're going to go into your cabinets. You're going to see this in your children's cereal. You're going to see it in snacks that you've been eating. Like, it's wild. Red 40 is one of them. Very, very common. Yellow 5 and 6 is another one. Green 3 and blue 1 and 2. All these food colorings have been linked to so many neurological issues here. Okay, now a lot of these things like red 40, you're gonna find in like yogurt, puddings, ice cream, popsicles, cakes, pastries, candy, chewing gum. You'll also find yellow 5 and 6 in like Twinkies, sodas, fruit drinks, again, cereals, salad dressing, pickles. Oh my God. Sausages, chips, orange soda. Let me see here. Cosmetics. Isn't that crazy? Even in medicine. You'll also have blue 1 and 2, also again in like jellies, candies, beverages, mouthwash, okay, ice cream, like all these things you'll find when you go to see something, like they'll have all of these in it. Another one that's a very concerning one is titanium dioxide. You're also going to find that in chocolates, coffee creamers, cakes, medicine products, bakery stuff, soups, broths, chewing gum. Again, these are things that we have eaten just like every day. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of different things. It's in Tylenol. Okay, these things, titanium dioxide is in Tylenol. Okay, Oreos, M&Ms, Sunkist, donuts, Skittles, Colgate. Like, so a lot of these have been linked to they're basically carcinogenic. So what is that? Cancer. And we wonder why we have such a high case of this. Okay, here's some other products that you guys may be familiar with that a lot of these chemicals are in it. Doritos, Pop-Tarts, Fruit Loops, again, M&Ms we have there. What else? The V8 Splash, right? You think you're drinking something healthy? Negative, boo-boo, negative. Welch's Fruit Snacks. We've had those, right? You think you're giving your child something healthy? Gatorade. Put it like this. I want you guys to understand that everything you know has been a lie. I'm going to tell you that right now. It has been a lie, and you're about to get a rude awakening with these things, okay? Jolly Ranchers, pickles, you know, those cakes, those Betty Crocker cakes that, you know, we would make as a kid that has yellow 5 in it. These things have been linked to hyperactivity in children, cancers, asthma, insomnia, allergies, okay? The red coloring also has been linked to thyroid tumors, behavioral issues. Here's some more, let's see here. Has been linked to, again, allergies, hyperactivity, tumors, mood swings, headaches. These are things that I feel as a society. Another one is big with the blue one, eczema, okay, constant infections, cancers, digestive issues. We have to start getting to the root of this, and this starts literally when your child is a baby.
Yes.
It's because even from the beginning, from that point, we're overfeeding our children. We think that them being chubby, overweight, which they don't want to say it, but I know in Spanish cultures, they see that as the child is healthy, you know?
Yeah.
If a child is skinny, they're very quick to criticize.
Yes, that's true.
And that doesn't mean that if you're skinny, you're healthy, but there has been this normalization of overweight children being deemed as healthy when it comes to these type of to our culture. And, you know, I'm just going to give one example. When children are babies, I remember that everybody told me I was supposed to feed my child at a certain age cereal,
yes,
baby cereal. And I was like, nope, because one thing that I realized is, first of all, they are babies, so their digestive system is obviously new, very sensitive. And the only reason they would recommend for you to give the cereal is so they can sleep longer, which I find is absolutely ridiculous. So you want me to fill my baby up with something that makes it heavy so that they can sleep longer? Let me tell you something. I'll lose sleep any fucking day before I give that baby that cereal. Because what you're doing is, like I said, their digestive system is new, right? And you don't want to like force it to have to break down so many things at that time, right? So because of that, you want to give the lightest food possible, right? So obviously, some people breastfeed, some people give the formula. What happens with formula, and this is not knocking anybody, because sometimes, you know, it is what it is. You have to do what you got to do, right? But let's not forget that when you're giving these babies these formulas, because it's not from a natural source, it has a lot of other additives and things in it that the body has to break down. And then we wonder why 90% of these babies all have like eczema and skin issues.
Or colicky.
Yes, colicky. That's another thing, right? And where does colic come from? Is the gas, right? That's just stuck there. So that's just telling us right there. That's a red flag that we're not respecting the digestive system the way we're supposed to, and we're stressing it out. And because we're stressing it out, because our skin is our largest organ, it's given us the signal with the eczema, it's given us the signal with the asthma, with all these things. It's given us the signal with the colicky, letting us know, yo, something ain't right in here.
Yes.
This is too much for me to digest right now. So just imagine over exhausting these organs. And then as they start to get older, what are families doing, right? They want to take the shortcuts and stuff, so they give them these fruit juices. Go take a look at all your fruit juices. I guarantee you they have red 40 and all these other food colorings we've been talking about.
And probably even have fruit, some of them.
That what?
I said, and some of them don't even have fruit.
They don't have fruit. I promise you that fruit is probably the best thing you can give your child once they start eating, because it's a natural sugar. Don't be afraid of fruit. They make you afraid of fruit. And that's only because at some point when you've already damaged your body, then your body's not reacting right to certain types of fruits. Yes, but from the jump, fruit is a natural sugar. So your body recognizes it and is going to break down properly. Okay. Watermelon is probably one of the best things. Any type of melon, like cantaloupe is part of the watermelon family. Honeydew, watermelon, right? So all of this is such water-based fruits. So what you're doing is you're hydrating the body, and you're also oxygenating the body. So you're giving your body you're giving your cells all this oxygen. And that's what these children need from the jump.
Yes. I also want to say that because we don't have knowledge of self and how our bodies work or what they're like, we ignore all these signals that are letting our body know, like, hey, I don't like this, or hey, you're mistreating me. And one of the main things is like when the baby is born, that we don't understand that the baby's stomach is the size of a dime. So in reality, the little bit of breast milk that you're feeding this baby is more than enough. And every time that you overfeed this baby and put your baby in a food coma, essentially, that's what you're doing to make them sleep more. Like they're so overwhelmed that they can't even wake up. That's messed up if we really break it down. And the stomach size situation, like when you fill this baby's stomach up, it's gonna be empty in 2 hours. The body is learning how to function. So you trying to keep your baby sleeping longer, unless the baby does it naturally, that there's something wrong with that. Like you're not letting the natural process do its job. And so another thing is, like, when you overfeed the baby, you're expanding their stomach. The stomach is a muscle. So you overfeeding that baby is just making the stomach more like bigger, expanding it more. And now it's going to require more food. Not that that's bad, but in reality, if your baby was already full, why do you want to overfeed? Like we have to start connecting these things and how the body works to really understand what we're doing.
Another thing is so many people be like, oh, sorry for the noise. You know, I got children, so it is what it is. I try, but it's only so much I could do. But you know, we see a lot that's very common of people saying their babies are lactose intolerant. And what I learned is they're not lactose intolerant, they're not a cow. So we're drinking it. People will take a cow's milk before breast milk. And they will think that somehow drinking breast milk is nasty, but they'll go and drink a whole other animal's milk. And the reason is our body's not built for that. Not only that, we have to understand that these animals are not being fed properly. They're being injected with hormones. So maybe in back in the days or something, it wasn't as bad, but because now they are injecting these animals with hormones and all these other stuff, and they're not feeding them properly, that stuff is going into the milk, which then you're buying. A lot of people also don't know that there was a whole big thing where the milk that was next to the chemical plants was the ones that were being sold to the urban communities. So now you got milk that is being exposed to more chemicals, and those are the ones that they're selling in your communities. Okay. There is a way to make your own milk. I'm telling you right now, you can make oat milk, you can make hemp milk, you can make cashew milk, whatever it is. But there's a way for us to do this. And I know that it seems like it's a lot of work to do everything yourself, like from scratch. But once you keep doing it, I promise you, and the benefits that it gives to your children and to you are definitely worth it. You know, it's not that expensive. My children have been plant-based since they were birthed, and let me say 90% plant-based, because 10%, I'm not gonna lie, they've had their little shares of dairy, like let's say we've been out and they've eaten a pizza or something that has dairy in it. But you know what? Because it wasn't something that I like basically gave them all the time, my children have literally thrown up in the middle of the night, whether it be from fries, wherever I bought the fries, maybe the oil they were using, or I bought, like this happened recently. I was, just lazy, whatever. I had family over and I went and bought like regular cheese pizza. And my dad was here. And in the middle of the night, my son was throwing up. And it's really scary because I start thinking of obviously the worst shit. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what if nobody was in the room with him? What if he would have thrown up and choked on his own vomit? You know what I mean? Like, I think of things like that. And I know that's probably psychotic to think, but it's just some other shit where you just think of the freaking worst shit that could have happened. And I felt really bad because I was getting just lazy and I really wasn't cooking like that and feeding them the way I normally do. And it came with a price. My daughter at 1.2 just started throwing up all over the place in the middle of the night. And I felt really bad. And I had to sit there and talk to my children. My son he just turned 6, and my first daughter's 3. And I had to sit there and talk with them and let them know like why they threw up. And I explained to them like how important it is that we eat correctly, we feed our body the right things, and when we don't, we have to know how to combat that and flush that out. So they got a little custom, because sometimes when you have family over and you do stuff, you don't kind of stay on schedule, and it's kind of like I feel like I kind of like sidetracked their taste buds. And then when I was trying to give them the stuff they normally eat, they didn't want to eat it, and that was a little bit of a struggle. So I had to sit there like and talk to them like, listen, I don't want to make you guys sick. I feel bad. I fed you guys this, and this is the reason why you guys threw up, because I'm starting to see a habit of every time I give them those kind of things from certain places, they end up throwing up. It's happened multiple times. So I'm like, wait a minute. Their body does not want this shit. You know what I mean? So I don't care how tired I am. I don't care what is going on. I don't care who's here. I have to make it a point to make sure that I find the best alternative, even if it's just trying to go around, cooking, whatever, but finding just a better alternative, because it's really scary when your children are sitting there throwing up and they're scared because they don't even understand what's happening.
Yeah, and you can't really do much about it either, because once it starts, you have to let it all pass out,
Yeah.
pass through the body. Also, I do feel that it's like because we don't know, like we think these things are normal. So sometimes kids are letting you know, like, my stomach hurts,
Yes.
or they'll say like, oh, I can't sleep, or they'll have like nightmares, and they have like a night where they can't like relax, right? But then another thing that people don't realize is all these things that we give our children also have all these side effects, like the food coloring and all that stuff. That's why there's so many different kids that have ADD,
Yep.
ADHD. Oh, my son can't sit still. First of all, kids are not supposed to be sitting still.
They're not.
Second of all,
Thank you.
this is why your child isn't paying attention to you. This is why your child maybe is not understanding the instructions you're giving this child, because it's all about we're blaming it on like bad children and like problems with behavior, when in reality is like, are you really dedicating the time to research? And I know it's hard. I have 3 of my own. I know it's hard, but it takes time. It takes time to break down all of these things and be like, oh my God. But once you understand them, you start making the connections. Like you already knew, okay, I fed them this and this was the result. And my children are at the stage where they're picking up those things as well. So I give them food freedom. They can eat whatever they want. But guess what? In my house, everything is controlled. I know the ingredients in whatever candy I'm going to give them. I know the ingredients in whatever cookies I'm going to give them. So my children don't feel like, oh, I'm depriving them of anything.
Exactly.
But like there's even Oreos that don't have all those chemicals. And it's like we use the word chemicals so you guys also understand, like look these things up because it's really bad. And you can look each individual ingredient, and when you do that, you will see side effects on there. You'll see them, you'll find them. So it's like it's not an excuse anymore once you start becoming aware of, wait, what am I feeding my body? If we really break down, okay, what does our body make itself out of? You have skin, you have hair, you have nails, you have organs, you have blood, you have saliva, you have all these things that are like these are things that materials that are created inside your body. Like you have new skin every year, every 30 days your skin is new on your face. So it's like where is our body making all of these things from? It's from what we consume.
Yep.
So it's like it's so annoying to hear doctors or professionals say, oh, there's no food and health connection.
Oh
Yeah,
my
you can eat
God.
whatever you want. It doesn't affect you, whatever. Like, no, especially when you really break down what they feed people at hospitals and people that are healing.
Oh my God.
Like,
That
this is how
drives
you
me.
know that these people don't know. And it's okay. While you're still in the trance, you still don't see it. But once you start awakening, you start developing this plan that you see unfolding in your head. Because they use visual colors. Like we are emotional beings. We're influenced by colors and sounds
Yes.
and smells and feels. So it's like they know that they market these things to our children very specifically so that our children drive us nuts at the store. Like, mommy, I
Yep.
want that. Mommy, I really want that one, because they see it all the time. They're in commercials. They're in all these things. I've never seen a broccoli commercial. I've never seen an apple commercial. Like the commercials are only things that are gonna make us more sick.
And these are all like cereals that you've probably eaten, like Cocoa Puffs, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Fruit Loops, Fruity Pebbles, all these things. I want you to take a look at them. These things have high sugar, they have pesticides, they have herbicides, they have heavy metals, they're genetically modified. They also have, what was it that it got revealed of? It was like a paint thinner or something like that.
There's so many different
It
things.
was so many things, but it's like, it's in the freaking cereal.
Yeah, and wood chips. Wood chips also.
Wood chips. Oh my God. So like, first of all, if any of us would take these ingredients just by itself and just give it to our kids, we would be locked up.
Yeah, exactly.
But they can put it in these foods and then say, no, it's a small amount. Yeah, but when you're fucking eating this shit for 20 damn years, okay, then you're wondering why there's cancer and all these things running rapid at like 20s and 30 years old, is because there was a moment in the 80s when all this marketing of like the low fat and all these other things, which were lies, which were complete lies. What they did was they renamed all these things that are another name for sugar, basically. High fructose corn syrup. If you have not figured out that one yet, that one everybody knows about at this point, you know. Not knocking you if you don't, I'm just saying. High fructose corn syrup. What they've done is they know that a lot of people now got hip to that name, and what do? They recreate another name for it. Like, if you pick up something and you do not understand those ingredients and that ingredient list is so long, put the shit down. Like, don't even waste your time. Like, put the shit down. You should be able to recognize 90% of those ingredients that are in your foods that you are eating and what you are feeding to your children. And we're in a stage, in an age where there are people now, you know, in companies that are creating, you know, better products. You know, you have, instead of,
a lot of moms.
Yeah, moms, yes. And you have like for example, like Capri Sun and all these things that have so much sugar in it. But I find that I can go and there's the squeeze juices that are just literally made of fruits.
Yeah.
Like, and they're not that expensive. It's not anything crazy, you know, like just look at, you know, even like, I don't want you to think that your kids have to miss out. My kids don't miss out on nothing.
Right.
Denisha's children don't miss out on nothing because we have found different alternatives when we look at the ingredients and we see what they're made of. And we see like, okay, instead of using the red 40, you know what they're using to make it red? Beets.
Exactly.
Like there's different things like that that I have found. I have found fruit snacks. I have found, like, especially when I have like parties for the children, I have found way healthier alternatives and they're still enjoying themselves. They have no idea. They don't know, like, they don't think like, oh, I'm not getting what other children are getting and things like that. They're not doing that. So there's always an alternative. We're in a beautiful age right now because of that. We're in a beautiful age where there's so much information out there. Go on YouTube. I always say YouTube University, man, you will learn so much. You'll probably learn more than what a doctor learned in their freaking med school, because 90% of these doctors, like you said, don't link food to health.
Yeah.
So many issues that these children come into can be resolved so easily by just changing that child's diet.
Yes. And because these things, these items they're made to be on a shelf for God knows how long, they
Yes.
add all these additives to them. And that's why, like, learning to make some of your own things is gonna be more cost efficient and healthier at the end of the day. There are so many, especially now that I don't necessarily live in the city anymore. Now that I've distanced myself from there, I've gotten closer to communities where they can their own food. So they can their own tomatoes. And these are like sciences that are being lost, like that we don't practice anymore. And that's why we think we need the grocery store or we need the supermarket. But when I look up, they make their own sauces, they make their own jams, and they do
Yes.
something called canning. So look into that. And that's, you just take one day out of the week, you prepare yourself a few jars of some things and do one thing every week or twice a month and start that way, because it's all these additives also that your body needs to digest. And if we're supposed to be eating for energy
Yes.
and our food is making us tired, like that doesn't make any sense. We're being counterproductive.
Yep. I was reading something here. It said obesity in our youth has tripled in the past 4 decades. 9 million obese kids with 15% at risk of becoming obese. That's not, like, the fact that I know people that their children are 10 years old with diabetes should be a red flag to everyone.
Yes, and heart issues.
And heart issues. And then you got these children now on insulin at 10. Like, nah, that's
And
not cool.
and being advised not to eat fruit
Oh my God.
on top
That's
of
the one thing that, ooh, that irritates me. Like, I for me, just give you an example. I give my children, the first thing they eat is fruit and water when they wake up. And it can be a variety of different types of fruit, whether it be berries, melons, or whatever the case is. And then after that, I kind of wait like half an hour to an hour and I let them just digest that. Like, you don't have to force so much food. Like, we think that eating these pancakes and bacon and eggs and all these things, that your body is coming from rest mode, from basically fasting, right? So when you eat breakfast, you're breaking your fast. That's what you're doing. So the last thing you want to do, I always give the example, it's as if when you're eating the bacon, egg, cheese, don't get me wrong, I grew up on that. I used to tear up some bacon, egg, and cheese in the mornings, all right? What it like it's equivalent to is like somebody coming when you wake up and throwing like a whole thing of water in your face and shaking you. Like, you're gonna be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, it's too much, right? It's too much. So you don't want to do that to your body. So you want to, like, basically, like, just slowly, you know what I mean, wake it up, you know, by giving it the energy that it needs. When you're eating these fruits, you're providing, like I said, your body, you're hydrating it, you're providing oxygen to your cells, and then what's that? It's going to turn, and that sugar is going to turn into energy. So now when you go and you eat the quote unquote a little bit heavier foods, like for my children, I give them like oatmeal, I'll make for them. And I just buy the rolled oats. That's what I do. And I sweeten it with either maple syrup or coconut sugar is what I use to sweeten it. If I use any milk, if I don't use milk, I use water with it. If I use some milk, I make it with hemp milk. So I get hemp seeds, some dates, a little bit of maple syrup in there and water. And that's how I make the milk. So if when I look at all that, I know everything that's in there. They had fresh fruit, they had rolled oats, they had some with the ingredients that are in it. What is there? Dates, maple syrup, coconut sugar. I know everything that's in there. So when they're eating the oatmeal now, that's probably a little bit more heavier. The body has the energy to break it down. So then after that, I just wait, you know, because kids will want to eat every damn second and eat you so they throw you homeless. I swear, man. So you gotta spread it out. So like, let's say I'll give you another example. Let's say if I want to just be quick with something, right? Jelly sandwiches are always like a quick thing to do, right? If you're busy. I either make my own bread, I make it with spelt flour. If you guys need the ingredients, just let me know. I don't know it off the top of the head, but I know it's like maple syrup, some like grapeseed oil, and I use the coconut sugar and some molasses, I think it is. I can't remember because I have it downstairs, but I'll send anybody a recipe, just hit me up. So I now have learned to make my own bread. If I don't make my own bread, the bread that I go to as a substitute, if I'm in a rush, is Dave's bread. My children like that bread. Some people don't like it, but I do that. And then when I go to buy the jelly, I try to get it from, like Danesha said, I try to get it from these own jelly.
Yes. Jen, can you hear me?
It was a freaking disaster. So I was like, I gotta practice this. But what I am teaching my children is anything that we make fresh is going to be the best thing for us. Anything that we make homemade is going to be way better and healthy for us than consuming it from an outside source. And when we do buy it from an outside source, we want to make sure that they're making it with the healthiest ingredients.
So that education is really important for your children as well.
Yes, you got to be honest with them.
Yes, and I do believe that you are the example and you set the tone in your house. So if you're trying to feed your child all these healthy things but you're not really eating healthy, you need to circle back. You need to go back and see, like, okay, wait, am I being the proper example for my child? Because my children see me and they know what I eat all the time. And okay, yes, of course, sometimes they don't want to eat what I'm eating. That's cool. But because I have all these other alternatives here, and because, like I said, they're visual, I keep the fruits washed and on display all the time. So if they're hungry and I can't get to them because I'm busy or I'm doing something and it needs to be quick, they have the ability to just go grab some fresh fruit off the counter, an orange, and peel it themselves, an apple, and eat it whole with the skin. Like, they are not picky about any of those things because since they were young, I've already gotten them used to that. So it's like we also have to remember, like, we need to be keeping up with these habits as well so that our children are more inspired. Your children want to be like you. They want to be just like you. They look up to you. They are inspired by you. And so when they see you do the things that you do, they want to be a part of that. So also including them in some meal making or meal prepping is also very good because it motivates them, especially when their hands are in the food. Like, they know, oh, I made that. So even if it's something that they hate, they'll try it with a much open mind because they made it themselves. They're so proud of that. So it's also like a tip if anybody out there struggling with that.
Yeah.
Yourself,
and I know
and let them enjoy it.
Danesha, can you talk about, because I know for you, see, like for me, I had, like, from the beginning, you know, incorporated a lot of this, but I know for you, there was a point after your awakening, you had to make certain transitions. And I know for certain parents, that was a struggle, or it's been a struggle for them because their children are already used to eating a certain thing. And then now you gotta like kind of switch it up on them.
Yes. So thankfully, part of my awakening, okay, so when I was 20 years old, my little sister was born. And I was very present in her birth. I was there advocating for my mom. I cut her umbilical cord. Like, she slept in my room. She was my baby also, but it was fun because she wasn't really my baby.
Yeah.
So because of her, I kind of looked into food. So we started like shifting like baby foods and stuff like that. So the real shift of like food was through my sister. Like, I had to feed her certain foods and change her taste buds.
Mm,
Because once my children came in, yes, I was still transitioning. Like, I was giving them like milk in the morning and stuff like that. But the transition was easy because they were very explorative with their food. Like, I let them eat their fruit themselves. I didn't chop it up that tiny. So they explored a lot. And because of that, it was a natural shift. It was a lot easier than with my little sister. So I will share how it was with my little sister because that was very difficult.
mm,
Um, so she was already an older kid too. So a lot of parents can relate because yeah, it's easy to shift a baby's mindset because they are not being very vocal and sometimes they're just hungry, so they'll just eat. But with an older child, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, it can get much difficult. What I started doing was I created a rule, which was the try it rule. You have to try the food at least 2 times before
mm.
you tell me that you don't want it. One, because mentally we are already like denying the food. So once you put it in your mouth right away, it's gonna taste funny because you're in like you don't want it, you're rejecting it.
Right.
So while you try it that first time, it's like, oh, this is gross. You're getting used to the texture and all that stuff. But the second time, you've already had the quote unquote grossness of it. You've already experienced this. So now your taste buds are kind of looking for something new to explore in the food. So with that rule, I was able to get her to eat half more of what she was eating. So just that alone was already like, oh my goodness. Then I started making her kind of involved in the food a little bit. Not greatly, because also, kids and their iPads and all this stuff, you can only do so much. So that's okay if they don't want to be involved so far, but you might want to work on that later on. Another thing was making the food simple. Like,
Yes.
it's so simple. Some pasta that you can do like a garlicky sauce with, or like a butter sauce, and just add like a chunk of broccoli. Don't overcook the broccoli because then it's gross, it's mushy. A lot of kids tend to like the crunchiness of the food. So, like, for example, carrots, I will chop them up to a certain consistency, like a certain shape, and just make sure that I don't overcook those either.
Yes.
Also, blending vegetables into the sauces. They will never know that they're there. um
Yes.
yeah, I do that with burgers as well. Like, we eat burgers, so we get grass-fed range-free meat that's humanely
Yes.
raised. And so into that meat, I will chop up really, really tiny onions, carrots, celery, cilantro, mushrooms. If I have, I clean out my pantry or my refrigerator, and I blend those. Sometimes it can be a sauce, sometimes it'll just be like quote unquote seasoning,
Yeah.
and they don't really know. So it's like, if that's what you have to do in the beginning to get their taste buds accommodated to that, then do that. Also, when you're gonna make something like juice, just do the actual fruit. It
Yes.
actually tastes delicious. It actually
It
tastes good.
actually tastes way better. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
I was making fresh juice for such a long time, and it was just crazy. Recently, I was at a restaurant, and I said, "Is this juice fresh? Is it fresh? Squeezed juice?" And they were like, "Yes." Let me tell you something. I tasted that juice. I could taste the chemicals in it. I said, "This was not fresh juice. Like, you will taste the difference. I promise you."
Yes, it's a big difference. And if they're still hesitant with the juice and they don't feel like it's as sweet, add honey,
Yeah.
add a date, and blend it in there and then strain it. Also, you can strain the juices if they don't like the textures. My kids are used to it, so they'll just literally chug whatever, they don't care. But if your kid is really picky in that sense, okay, accommodate, like meet them halfway in that situation.
Let me say something really quickly
Yes.
that I don't want to forget when it comes to oranges, and this is a hard lesson that I had to learn with my son. So when they're babies, I was making all these juices fresh, and what I didn't realize is that because their teeth are so sensitive when they're babies, with the orange juice, it's best to dilute it with some water. I didn't know that, and that kind of caused my son to have some issues with his teeth at a young age because of the acid in the orange juice. So it's not that it's bad, but it's that at a certain age, it's just too much for them. So it's best to just, if you're gonna do that, just dilute it with some water. That's just something that I need to put out there because I don't want any parent to go through what I went through. You feel guilty as and mom guilt, we all know, is not the best thing. So just make sure when you're doing like these citrus types of juices that you just kind of dilute it with some water for them.
Yes. And then also for like desserts, honestly, I shifted, like, let's say ice cream, because we're still doing dairy. I mean, we still do dairy sometimes. We would get Haagen-Dazs, but just the vanilla plain.
Mhm.
And again, you can find different alternatives. You can also make your own ice cream. I bought a little ice cream machine at the thrift shop that was $8. And I put coconut milk, um, some coconut sugar, and then like strawberries, and they loved it. Another time we did like a quote unquote chocolate I flavored, and it was just coconut milk, and I added literally cacao and a mushroom mix. So it was literally like a medicinal ice cream and coconut sugar or honey, and all these things just make it so much easier for their bodies to digest. They're not on a sugar rush or a high. You can get dark chocolate chips, because in reality, sometimes they don't need the sweetness. They just want the different flavor profiles.
Mhm.
And adding like the dark chocolate chips in there was game changer too, because even if I made my own, like for example, I bought the Haagen-Dazs one, I will buy these sprinkles that were dyed with turmeric, spirulina,
Yes.
and beet juice. And I would add those sprinkles and the dark chocolate chips, and they were more than happy with those things. So it's like
Yeah.
we always want to overcomplicate it, like, oh, I gotta make these like crazy. No, if you're also gonna make some meat, try to make it as local as possible, but
Yes.
grass fed, humanely raised, that make sure these animals are not suffering. You can look up the companies and check for yourself. That's what I do. I use Applegate, which is they have hot dogs. So when we go out in barbecues, I know that I can bring my own beef, 100% beef hot dogs. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm missing out or anything like that.
And
But
that's a
even
good point that you're making because I want people to know like I'm plant-based, Denisha's not. But that doesn't mean that either of us are not eating healthy. You get what I'm saying? Because let's go back and look at how big and fat these damn chickens are now. They
Mhm.
were never that fat and big, and that's because they're being injected with these hormones, these animals. So that is why when she's talking about grass fed, when she's talking about like free range, you know what I mean, like all these things, it's because that's letting you know that these animals were not fed with all these extra shit in it, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit more cleaner for you to eat.
Yes, and it actually, they are eating their proper diets, the diets
Make
um
for them.
that are exactly made for them. Like sometimes these factories would be feeding corn to cows, and it's like it's so crazy to disconnect that animal from just the cycle of nature. Like
Yeah.
it literally works with nature. So they go out, they eat the grass, they poop in that same grass that fertilizes the soil, that helps more healthy grass grow. So it's like there is this cycle that these animals are supposed to be living in, that we disconnect them from that, and then we eat that food, and we're absorbing all the energies that come with that meal, and we don't realize that, or with that animal. And so eating those types of meats, because I I went through a phase where I was like, I'm gonna be completely vegan. These kids are not eating no meat, all that stuff. But I have to be realistic with my culture and with my people. And I realized that also all these fruits and vegetables, you also have to try to get organic and locally grown from a
Yeah,
local
because they
farmer.
also have the pesticides and bullshit.
Exactly. So when I really broke it down, I'm like, there's dangers in eating fruits and vegetables if you don't buy them properly, the same way that there's dangers of eating meat if you don't buy them properly.
If
You
you
know,
don't
we don't
clean them
eat.
properly.
Exactly. And we don't eat the meat all the time, but I do want to say I have a husband that he's very adamant about still eating meat. And who am I to put my ideology into his body? He knows more than anybody else what he's okay to eat or not. So what I do, I find the best of the best that I can. And that's how we will be eating our meals, you know, until one day that I will I told my son, like, if you like chicken, you might have to grow your own chickens one day
Yeah.
and then kill them yourself. Like,
Yeah.
these are real things. Like, what do you think? The animal doesn't suffer, the animal doesn't do these things. If you're gonna consume an animal, it has to die.
Yes.
So also connecting that for my son is like, even though he knows that, he still wants to eat the meat as well. So again, I have to make the best of the best, you know?
And I know that I'm telling you, if you eat meat from another country, because I know when I was in Cuba, when I was in Colombia, I ate meat out there, even though like I don't eat it here, but I ate it out there. And let me tell you something, it tastes completely different.
Yes.
The eggs taste different. The meat tasted different. Like I literally felt like they just like literally just killed the animal right before they fed it to me. Like it was just so fresh. Like there was just a different taste to it. So it's like we have to understand, like we're not saying it's more of this country that is so just backwards with the way they do stuff. Like they try to preserve so much, and when they do that, all they're doing is filling you with a bunch of chemicals. Like we have to understand that these foods are causing a lot of these issues that we're having when it comes to depression, when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to all this suicide. Like people are not linking the foods to it, and the foods have a lot to do with it because the foods affect you neurologically.
Yes. You know what? Also, before we go deeper, because I know we're about to go deep, but like for example, orange juice, right? You look at the bottle, it's just orange juice from oranges. That's it, right? But what you don't understand is for it to be in the market or on that shelf, they had to cook the juice. So when
Yeah.
they cook the juice, you get rid of all the things that were good for you in that juice. We're not supposed to be cooking food.
That's when it says that concentrated. It'll say from concentrate.
Yes. And it'll also it's also with what else it is that with the milk also.
Yeah.
Your milk is super cooked. And it's like I remember because I grew up, like I'm still connected to my culture, very, very connected. My people still live off the land in the Dominican Republic. So over there, I remember them taking the milk of the cow and they would just drink it.
Right.
And some people think that's crazy, but it's like, wouldn't you think that if you have to process it in any way, that maybe we shouldn't be consuming it? Or maybe it's not the proper way of consumption. I'm not saying, because sometimes they will steam the milk, like they'll put it on a pot and steam a little, but it's like lightly cooked, and then it creates like a froth, and everybody loves it and enjoys it. And a lot of people do that over there. So that made me think too, like, why do we do that to our foods? Like, why do we cook them to the point where it doesn't have any nutritional value
We're
anymore?
taking all the main nutrients out.
Yeah. So that's a good point to hit up on also. Like, look at these things, look at these companies. I also know that orange juice, because they cook it and because they make so much of it, they store it in barrels and they lose like their smell and all these things. And they hire fragrance companies to make an orange smell for that. So now it's even more chemicals that they add onto that are all synthetic. Rather than just making fresh squeezed orange juice every morning, you know, like we can cut these middlemen. We don't know their intentions. We don't know why they do these things. I mean, I have a pretty good idea, but when you come into awareness of all these things, you're gonna be like, oh my God, are they trying to kill us? Yes, basically.
Yeah, basically,
This
yes.
is the
They
end
have been
result.
doing it. Yeah.
It's the end result. Like if everything is it's like that, and it can cause danger in your body, just don't trust anything anymore. Look into anything before you consume it.
I think that's the harsh reality that people don't want to come to terms with. And it's that the people that you've trusted the most, your doctors, the government, have literally plotted a whole plan to kill you. And I know that sounds like, oh, very conspiracy theory type of shit. No, let's take a look at the fucking evidence, okay?
Yeah.
We look at everything when it comes to the food, when it comes to the air pollutants, when it comes to all the products that we use, from lotions and things like that. All of these things have all these carcinogenic chemicals in it. They have all these other chemicals in it that are causing neurological issues. So you cannot tell me that this has not been a plot to basically destroy us, and we're not taught these things when we're in school. We're not taught about our bodies and really how they work. We're not taught knowledge of self. We're taught to be a worker, to be a slave, and we're just indoctrinated in this certain way where we don't ask questions. And then if we do ask questions, we're looked at like the difficult people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, no, we're supposed to ask questions to these doctors. We're supposed to challenge these people, because I don't want you to get it twisted and think because they have a white coat that they know everything. Because what people don't even know is that these doctors get probably like an hour or two in their entire medical education. When they go to med school, they get a very, very, very small part when it comes to nutrition, when nutrition is one of the main things that is linked to health. And how are you not teaching these doctors that what they are teaching them is to medicate you? They teach you to medicate you because then you become a patient for life. Okay. I've worked in the health field for 20 years when I had did medical billing for 10 years, and then I had my own business for 10 years, right? That I closed last year. And what I learned in that, when it comes to health insurance, when it comes to all this, is that they are the only way. The pharmaceutical industry is probably $10-20 billion freaking industry. Okay. This moves the country. Okay. This everything is about money. Okay, it's not about your health. It ain't about they can't. No, they don't give a shit about you. And you need to get that through your head. They don't give a shit about you. You need to govern yourself. You need to learn you need to re-educate yourself and unlearn everything you ever knew, because it was all a lie to program you to be basically just docile. And you're not really seeing what's happening, and you're blind. Like they say, many people have eyes, but not everybody can see. And that's a real ass statement, because you could tell people this shit, you could show them it, and they still won't get it. This government don't give a fuck about you. They don't.
I also want to bring perspective to that. Like, it's not that these doctors have the intention. Like,
Yes.
most of them do. Okay. I mean, not most of them. I want to take that back. It's not most of them. Some very rarely do. They don't care about you. Yeah. But most of these people that go into the field, they want to change people's lives. They want to help society. The problem is not the individual. It's not the doctor per se. It's the curriculum that's being taught.
Yes.
So we have to really understand what that means. Exactly, because it's not that you're gonna go to your pediatrician and the pediatrician is like, oh my God, I hate these people.
Like, let's kill them. Yeah,
let's kill them. No, it's not that. It's that they don't know any better. So they know most likely less than you know.
Yep.
When it comes to your body and the way that it's been feeling, not that they're taught, okay, this is this muscle and this is that muscle and that, but they don't teach their curriculum is not in unisex. Like it's not together. Okay, food, stress, lifestyle, exercise and movement. And now we can talk about medication, like that's not how they're taught. So it's like
they're not taught about prevention. They're just taught about treating you. That's how their system works.
Exactly. They're not taught to get to the root of something. Oh, my head has been hurting or I have a migraine here. This medicine will work great for you. I'm trying to help you. Okay, great. But how can I stop it from happening? And I bet you if you ask your doctor that question, they never have the answer for you because that's literally one of the questions I ask the most. Okay, doctor, so how do I stop this from happening to me again?
Yeah, how do we get to the root
They,
just to like
they don't
limit?
know. They don't know. So how can they help you if they don't know how it even happened to you?
Yep. Yep. And that's why when you go to these holistic and these other type of, which there's like a war against these doctors now, these natural doctors, just because they're ruining the money flow of this medical industry, because they're getting to the root of the issue. So once they get to the root of the problem, you don't become a patient for life. You're done. You've healed yourself. You healing yourself or even taking measures, preventative measures, does not benefit this country. So what's happening now, though, there is an underground revolution where a lot of these doctors now are waking up and realizing that they were brainwashed and taught completely wrong, and then they're stepping out and opening up their voice and basically saying like, look, I messed up. This is not the way. This is not the way. And then they're going to get educated on alternative methods of healing and natural healing, and they're getting crucified for that. And that really makes you look at it like, why are people getting so mad that these people want to actually heal people? Because that's what they went into the profession for. Like we said, they're not going in there saying, I'm going to kill people, I'm going to be a doctor. No, they went in there with good intentions, and then they realized they got bamboozled. And let me tell you something, when you wake up to that, there's a point where you get so angry. You get so angry, and you want to spread the information to the world, and you want to tell everybody, and then everybody looks at you like, shut up, they don't want to hear it. And you're like, wait, what? And that's when you realize that there is a deeper issue going on here, and there is a war on these doctors. And I really do feel bad for them, because they're, like I said, they're not going in there with those intentions, but they're keeping this sick system alive of these people that are in power, that are only in for profit, and they're keeping that alive. And it's all crumbling down. It's been crumbling down ever since COVID happened. And
Yes.
it's going to continue to crumble down because people are waking up, yo.
Yeah. But I also want to say that because it's about the money, that's why we need to really know where our dollars are going. Where's
Yes.
your money going? Where is your energy and your currency? Where is it going? Because once you stop supporting they're not gonna have a choice but to make the food the way you want it to. That's why all these moms out here are making all these brands, and all these companies are like, oh, Heinz, the ketchup, is now making a simpler one or an organic one because they are losing business. So it's like the more we do this and the more awareness we can bring to these things, the more we can really know what we're supporting and really change where we use our currency and our energy. Like, where is it gonna go now? So once you can like learn to be like, okay, I'm actually don't support anything from this company because I don't care what Heinz do, I'm not buying their ketchup. That's it. It's over for you. But there's people that don't have access to an organic ketchup somewhere, or like a simply made ketchup, or a local ketchup that a farmer made. Some people don't have access to that. So now you have these options. So now we can't really say, oh, but what am I going to eat then? What am I going to eat then? Well, pay attention where you're spending your money, because wherever you spend your money is where they're going to continue mass producing these products for you and your family.
Like, people need to understand that we hold the power. And that's the
Exactly.
part that people don't get. You're taught to think that all these people in white coats and the people with money and this government and people have the power. No, they made you think that. We as a people can shut this entire shit down by just saying no.
And the only way and the only reason why, and I'm going to say we're in control of everything because I'm in the phase of manifesting my own reality. The people that were in charge know you better than you know you. And that's why
Yes.
they're able to do all these things. They know that they're going to keep you in a docile state. They know that they're just going to disconnect you from your God and you being one with self. They know that. And that's where their quote unquote power was.
This is a spiritual war, man.
It is.
It's a spiritual war, man. But we're about our time of wrapping up things. But I want people to just, it's nothing overnight. I don't want you to like, I'm not a big person of like go to cold turkey, because you're putting your body into a shock and you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You just want to slowly integrate these things when it comes to yourself, when it comes to your children. Um, there's different things, like Danesha said, make it fun, and just start really looking up the ingredients. The information is out there. That's one thing that they have, is that they'll never say, oh, we didn't put the information out there. No, we put it out there, but we don't read, we don't research, we don't do any of that. And that's what we have to start doing. We don't ask questions. Don't be afraid to look things up. Don't be afraid of what you're going to find. The truth may be a hard pill to swallow, but I promise you, it is a freedom that you're going to have within yourself, and you're going to feel more powerful because you're going to now know what's going into your bodies. We have this one beautiful life to live, and we are so caught up in this being like a machine to them, just moving like robots to them, and not really enjoying this life because we're consumed with all these chemicals, all these neurological issues, all these mental health issues. And I promise you that the root of one of them, because there's many causes, it's coming from the foods. It's coming from the foods. Okay. So let's just do better as a people. As mothers, we share so much information so that we can have, like, hey, what do you use for this or that to feed your kids? Like, I promise you that there's always a better alternative to everything, to every single thing that we're doing here. There is a better and more natural alternative. And when you start incorporating these things, you're going to feel a difference. You're going to feel a difference in your body, because your body speaks to you. So let's start listening to that. Let's stop normalizing eczema, asthma in babies and saying, oh yeah, my daughter had that too, it goes away when they get. No, the signals are there. Let's wake up and listen to these signals. Yo, do you know that even like certain candies, the way they made here, go look at the way they're made like in United Kingdom and all that, they don't use those chemicals. It'll be the same thing. It'll be like M&Ms, but they use certain chemicals here that they won't use in other countries. And you're just like, wait a minute, it's the same product, but they're making it different. Because why? Because it's banned. The fact that a bunch of our stuff here in the US is banned in other countries is a red flag to everybody that there is something off happening in this country. And the way that we're gonna not fix it, right? We can't save the world, but we can save ourselves. And I hope this reaches anybody to just make those changes in their life so you can have a longer life, a healthier life, a more productive life, and you can enjoy this life, as opposed to thinking that you have to be sick on medications by the time you're 40, 50 years old. That's not normal. That's not what we came here for.
Agreed.
All right. So you guys, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to hit me and Danesha up on our Instagram. Let me see. I'm pretty sure you guys can find us on Instagram. So yeah, just hit us up, DM us. We're very open moms. We love to share information. Me and Danesha learn so much from each other, and I love that about us. And we've reached a beautiful community, when we were doing the lives. And I'm just glad that now we're able to tap in again with these mothers and just share this information, share this knowledge, so we can be a healthier community and we can just thrive so much better. You will be more creative, you will be more inspired, and you will be able to manifest, because this existence that we're living in is based off energy. It's based off law of attraction. And the way we can be in a receptive mode where we can receive all these beautiful things that we desire, that we want, is by eliminating and start cleansing our temple. And that's going to start with the foods.
Yes. And from non-judgmental beings. Like,
yes,
we're here to help, not judge your life, because we've all seen ourselves both of us have seen ourselves in positions where we were on survival mode. So we, more than anyone else, understands where life can take you and where you can be. So let's shift it.
Let's do it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Also, thank you to everybody who watched our first episode. Thank you to everybody who downloaded. Make sure you leave us reviews. Make sure you tap in with us. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. We're gonna start a movement here. I promise you, and it's gonna grow. And I'm just grateful to be doing this with you, Danesha, because I know how powerful we are.
Thank you. I'm grateful too.
Alrighty, y'all. Stay tuned. Next Monday, we're gonna have we got a pretty dope lineup coming up. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next Monday for Mommy Mondays.